chop all these siege tanks now. Those drones really desperately trying to run for their lives. There's Wednesday Night
vVv Gaming
does get underway. So this is going to be game 1 in a best of 7 series, King of the Hill style, vVv versus xSix. And I had to ask Matron, is it vVv or is it vV?
It's vVv. 3 Vs. Vision, Valor, Victory.
Yeah, but sometimes I say it's like vV Gaming, and like I feel bad like leaving off the last V. So like
it's a lot of V's to pronounce.
Yeah, and my first name even begins with the V, so I'm like I shouldn't drop the V, even though it's a not very common letter. But let's go ahead and get into game 1. Everyone, let's see. Well, if you guys are watching from home, I'd say cheer, but then again, we can't hear you anyway. So, you know, do an internal clap or cheer as game 1 does get underway. Zerg versus Terran, MLG Shakura's Plateau, and as soon as the game is done loading, I want to know, what do you think of the spawning locations, and what can we expect to see out of these players?
First things first, Curta, it's totally fine to cheer at home alone while watching StarCraft. I don't want you to put any thoughts in these people's heads that they can't be cheering, because when we have great matchups like this, definitely something to cheer for. And like you said, we're going to have vVv SeoHyeon spawning as the blue Terran in the bottom right position, and this is the MLG version, so always have the, I guess, sort of the opposite spawns, which the latter map also has. xSixSleep is going to be spawning as the purple Zerg in the northwest position, so already we see very, very far positions for these two players, something we saw last week when EG took on vVv, and it made for a lot of a very big, long macro game. So we'll see if we have more macro games in store for us this week.
Yeah, and so we'll see if it is going to be a big, long macro game. Hopefully, apparently I am slowing down the game a little bit. So let's see if I can clear things up just a little and hopefully not lag anyone out any further. As game... hopefully that does clear things up. It is going to be xSix Mystic on the top left-hand side of the map as the purple Terran player doing the extractor trick, getting quickly into 11/10. Meanwhile, on the bottom right, it is the blue Terran and full cross spawns. And we'll see how these players play it out. It's really been a lot of macro style and a lot of reactor Hellions as of late to try to control creep and try to control drones. But on Shakura's Plateau, because there is a ramp leading into the natural expansion, it's a little bit more difficult to try and stop that. So we'll see what's going to happen here as a drone is already making its way out in order to scout.
Yeah, I've been really impressed with Zerg players recently and how they're handling Hellions. And the Hellions are still denying creep and sort of denying map control in the early mid-game there, but they're not able to get in and do too much damage in terms of the economy. So it's not gonna be a huge deal like it was when Hellions were first really powerful and sort of figured out by the Terran players before they were figured out by Zerg. So now they're sort of just controlling units, which is pretty interesting dynamic.
Yeah, it's all about controlling creep and making sure that your opponent is forced to create some Zerglings, even though you don't necessarily get drone kills in the mineral line. What you're really trying to do is you're really trying to limit the amount of drones that they're able to train. If you give a Zerg player a license to drone off of 2 bases or 2 bases plus a macro hatch, they're gonna just catapult ahead in terms of the overall economy, as we do see some basic scouting coming in, and I'm interested to see what exactly the Terran player will be going in next. He is training up with some Marines, and he should be following this up with a factory.
Yeah, the other thing that we've been seeing a lot is a lot of players are going for the command center before the factory. It's not going to happen in this case because the gas was sort of on time to make that factory, but players are trying to get that expansion down earlier and earlier, sort of cheating corners a little bit. And I think that has a lot to do with the fact that, again, you don't have to get those Hellions out too early because you don't have to do too much economic damage. They're still just for controlling creep and sort of controlling the third, trying to prevent it from happening or going down for the Zerg. So I feel like Terrans are going to start delaying the, as we have a Marine making his way over here doing a little bit of scouting, trying to get into that bunker about to finish.
And the bunker does finish just in time, but I think the damage here will be pretty minimal. A Queen will pop out of here, turn around, be able to get a spawn larva off, and then absorb the majority of that damage. And I think SeoHyeon is not going to really deal any true damage here, and this is going to be really bad. You can see the Queen is now out. Marines need to change targets, perhaps focus on the Zerglings instead. SCV is repairing. firing, and it looks like the SCV will get taken out. A lot of Zerglings have been destroyed. The Marines are still firing and taking down many more Zerglings as the bunker does go down. Taking a look at the loss, it is 261 to 131. So Sleep so far ahead in this game as we are now going into double Hellions. So it looks like Terran is just going to continue with this harassment and hope to bank on even more after those initial Zerglings were destroyed by the bunker.
Yeah, and you say he didn't do too much damage. It actually forced out a lot of Lings, and he was able to kill a lot of Lings as well. So it basically disrupted the early economy of Sleep. Not a huge deal. He can recover, and he's going to have these first few Hellions to deal with, and he doesn't have too much in the way of Lings.
Yeah, so right now you can see that drones are trying to engage. The drones doing a very good job trapping some of those Hellions, but the Hellions now getting off some nice line of fire, getting off a decent amount of kills, trying to figure it out. It does take 3 shots in order to take down a drone, and it looks like the Hellions have been taken out. Total worker kill count 4, though, so it's 27 drones to 21, and Sleep still says, you know what, I don't care. I can do this all day long. I am still gonna train up more and more drones. You really didn't deal that much damage, as he now power drones into 7 more drones with a 32 to 22 drone advantage.
And the Terran player just getting that command center, the orbital command, the second one done, so he's going to have to find an opportunity to land that and start macroing up. He only has 22 SCVs at the moment, so that's more of an all-in-ish one-base SCV count rather than the macro style that we so often see from Terran. He is getting up 3 factories, or 3 3 barracks at the moment, and he is already working on stim, so he might try some sort of mid-game timing here once stim does finish and he gets a decent count on any sort of Marines and Marauders.
Yeah, right now it really feels like SeoHyeon is really going into the just trying to just transition. We'll see if the transition offense does work. He's behind by 26 workers right now.
Yeah.
So this is not looking good for him. Sleep's macro is simply off the charts. And really, he's been minimizing damage. He hasn't been overproducing Zerglings. Has enough Zerglings to deal with the Hellions on the front door. There's a Spine Crawler on the front door as well. And I really don't see what exactly SeoHyeon can do right now, as he is behind. He does have double mules, perhaps if he tries to build up another command center and get up on 3 bases. But the Zerg still so strong in his economy, currently harvesting more minerals, but currently even on gas.
And Sleep just sacked an Overlord, so he's able to see everything in the base of SeoHyeon, and he's also doing a nice job of spreading creep. You see he's spreading the creep tumors sort of to the side, so we don't see a straight creep highway towards the Terran player, but he's going to have a decent creep spread by the mid game, especially once he gets rid of those Hellions. He's already got a little bit established, so just going to push forward from there. He really needs to get on a 3rd base, though. At this point, he's got the 56 harvesters. He can do another pump to be on 3 bases, and I think that this is going to be the timing attack that the Terran player is looking for, as he does have the medevacs on the field now, and stim has completed. Yeah,
the question is going to be whether or not Banelings will be able to come in time. Sleep perhaps knows the timing on this attack. Banelings nest about to complete as the Marines and Marauders now rush in. It looks like the Hellions are going to be able to torch a lot. Zerglings now trying to come in, unable to get that much damage as the Spine Crawler takes 1 final hit. Now going in for another stim, making their way up the ramp as the Hellions are going to be trying to tank as much of that damage and now take down some of the creep tumors as well. Zerglings making their way in. Is it going to be enough here as they're dancing around back and forth? Hellions and Zerglings trying to get a surround here. And who will be able to get better surface area? Marines and more units coming in back at home. It looks as though it's pretty even so far as more Zerglings are coming in one at a time. And SeoHyeon may be able to get off a lot of drone kills as he has intercepted and now been able to take down many of these units down over here. Queens are coming off the mineral or coming off the hatcheries. Drones are falling and it looks like a lot of workers have been killed, but is it enough?
Yeah, 13 total. The worker count 47 to 34 at the moment. So Terran's still behind, and he did so much damage with those medevacs and the stim. Just a ton of DPS. Was able to take down those initial Lings, but the follow-up Lings and the drones and the Queens able to clean up that force. We see another surround about to come here for Sleep, using those Queens to try to focus down the medevacs. Smart move by him, and he's going to be able to clean up this attack.
Yeah, you can see that the medevacs very, very smart in picking up some of those units. The Marine needs to perhaps run towards a medevac as opposed to just trying to run all the way home. This is not looking good. Zerglings are going to be able to clean up all of these Marines. The Marines perhaps need a stim in order to get in position. And here we go. Here's an engagement. The Marines, Zerglings now be able to run inside here. More Marines coming in. It looks like these Zerglings will get cleaned up, but Sleep wanted to get a little bit of scouting. And SeoHyeon feeling very confident knowing that he was even on bases and just saw the third base now being established.
We've got double Spire coming up, and he doesn't have Infestation Pit, so I don't think he's going to be going for Broodlords right away. So he might be going for kind of a double upgrade style with that Spire. Not quite sure how I feel about that off of just the 2 bases at the moment. He only has those 4 gas geysers, so that can be pretty gas intensive, but he is trying to establish that third. We'll see if that's able to be up and running. If we check the worker count, it is 51 to 39 still. Mules are going to even that up a little bit as we see Terran actually ahead in mineral economy, but I feel like Sleep is in a good position.
Yeah, SeoHyeon does have his third command center up. It is not upgrading to an orbital just quite yet. But the Zerg player is floating a fair amount of minerals, around 800, at one point almost 1,500. Mutalisks are being trained, but the medevacs may be able to get there in time. And it's really going to come down to timing. If the medevacs are able to unload and drop inside the base before the Mutalisks are able to come out, that is going to be absolutely huge. And I still really think that, the second Spire was canceled to free up a little bit of gas. And here we go. Overlords are now making their way out, but in comes a drop. It is going to be triple medevacs now. Marines are in position. No +1 upgrades as the Marines are now stimmed and able to finish off many of these Mutalisks. Banelings may find their target. Medevacs are getting sniped down by the Mutalisks, and Banelings finding many of the Marines. And this drop has been cleaned up by Sleep. And Sleep just simply dominating every engagement, even though SeoHyeon has been doing everything he needs to do in order to apply pressure.
Yeah, I think that SeoHyeon at that point really just need to use those Marines to try to focus down mutas. He wants to keep that muta count low, and right now a crazy drone pump, 17 popping out for Sleep. He's at 67 harvesters. We do have a drop at the south side, trying to take down the third for Sleep, but I'm not sure that that's going to be successful as the Lings have made their way down here along with the mutas, and they will clean that up, take out that medevac. And now Sleep sort of taking full map control. He's got great spread and great vision with his Overlord spread and Lings all over the map. Burrowed Lings, in fact, going to prevent the third from SeoHyeon going down.
Yeah, so we'll see what's going to happen here. That missile turret just outside of range. Marines now going to make their way over. Missile turret does join in on the fight. Going to clean up some of those Zerglings there. And now SeoHyeon setting up his third base. We'll see if it will be successful or not. More missile turrets need to be added. Army size 124 versus 100, and I gotta say, Sleep's macro is simply amazing in this game, able to macro up even though there's constant pressure, and he hasn't missed a beat.
Yeah, a lot of Zerg players will sort of double expand after they're delayed with early Terran pressure on 2 bases. Those Hellions controlling the map like we talked about. But Sleep actually going for the third and now adding the fourth just a little bit later. And like you said, his macro has been quite impressive. He's at 68 harvesters at the moment, another 8 on the way. So he's going to be at sort of that magic number of 75 harvesters as we see Lings cleaning up the midfield. And again, Sleep just owns this map right now.
Yeah, Sleep in total map control. We'll see what's going to happen here. Only 1 missile turret. It looks like the engineering base may take some damage, or perhaps even losing the armory, which is a very expensive building, but Mutalisks need to get away. 1 Mutalisk does get shot down there, and now it will be forced to pull back as a new missile turret being built, and we are going into Thors.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the transition here is for the Zerg player as well. He's adding a lot of Lings at the moment, and he is adding that Infestation Pit. So he might go straight up to Hive, go for that Greater Spire, and then sort of do the death push with the Broodlords. We see tanks are out for the Terran player, so Broodlord's definitely the tech of choice to combat tanks. But right now, Sleep is just controlling the midfield. He's checking for extra bases with those mutas, trying to do as much damage as he can while staying safe. He does have some burrowed Banelings. A nice scan going to take those down, so not too much damage done by those Banelings, but Sleep is about 40 food ahead right now, looking really strong.
Yeah, Sleep's definitely in control of this game. He is teching to tier 3. We see another command center being built. Is it going to be enough as the Mutalist now trying to fly around? It looks like they will be able to get inside the main base. No, it looks like they may be trying to just fly around the main base here. There is only 1 or 2 missile turrets, and the Mutalisks are just simply too much. The missile turret's going to fall very quickly. A Thor will not get out in time, as the main base is now pretty much in trouble. SCVs are not going to be able to repair it, and the Mutalisks, with their high speed, able to be everywhere they want to be and dealing massive amounts of damage as well.
This is a really slow response by SeoHyeon. He's trying to move that Thor into position. He only broke off a few Marines, and he was able to take down the armory was Sleep. I'm surprised he didn't do even more damage than that, but he was able to take down a number of SCVs. It's 75 to 47 at the moment, so we do have a drop coming into the main of Sleep. We'll see how much damage that's able to do.
Yeah, but there's already 2 spine crawlers there. That's not looking good. Weapons upgrade, 1-1, not looking good at all. Queens are now going to snipe down the medevac as we are going into Hive Tech. Greater Spire should be coming in as well. And the Queen doing a great job making sure to take down the medevac, or deal damage to the medevac, as the Greater Spire may need to get focused down, as it does take a little bit of time to build.
Yeah, these mutas really need to get back and clean up the main, but it looks like Lings are going to do that job, but picking off the medevac could definitely help. The mutas going for another round into the main of SeoHyeon, going to try to magic box this Thor, not doing a great job, taking maybe a little bit more damage than they should have. But Sleep does have to free up a little bit of food for Broodlords at some point, but it looks like he's going to get another free pass at these SCVs and at this supply depot line.
Yeah, it looks like what the Thor was unable to get into where it needed to go. The Thor now tried to make its way, simply too slow and too large to deal with the fast-moving units, but the Marines are there in time as well, and a little bit more damage than wanted to be done. In the center of the map, you can see a group of Zerglings going up against a lot of Marines. The siege tanks did get a lot of damage in, but it may just be the freeing of supply, as you mentioned, as we are now nearing completion on the Greater Spire. Mutalisks now making their way into the natural expansion. Mutalisks going up against the missile turret will be able to focus it down and free SCVs there as they back off once more.
Yeah, he's still up about 25 harvesters at the moment, and Sleep keeping the constant pressure on with those Lings hitting midfield and the mutas doing harassment in the main and the natural. I don't feel like the trade of Lings there was too great for Sleep, but like we said, he has to free up a little bit of supply at some point, but he hasn't really maxed out at any point in this game, so maybe that's not so important. He could have kept those Lings for one big push with the Broodlords, and right now he's working on Infestors and that late game Broodlord force.
Yeah, 3 Mutalisks getting taken out, so the Mutalisk flock is now down to 9, but we are already at 8 Corruptors. Correction, 8 Broodlord Cocoons, as are now being trained, and we'll see what's going to happen here. We do currently have 1 starport with medevacs, and I'm surprised that the Viking production hasn't been started. He scouted out the Greater Spire being upgraded, and that's always something you got to be very careful of. You want to make sure that you, as a Terran player, that if you see the Greater Spire, at least have 2 to 3 rounds of Vikings, as the Mutalisks now taking down an easy missile turret and now going after SCVs once more.
Yeah, not too many Mutalisks left, in fact, just 8 of them on the field, so they're not going to be able to do too much harassment, especially with good placement of missile turrets, Thors, and Marines, and right now Thor's taking a few more shots at those mutas, but again, these mutas are just delaying for the inevitable, and that is just the massive amount of Broodlords, which are about to be knocking on the front door of SeoHyeon. Right now there are, looks like 8 on the field, another 3 on the way, and just more and more Corruptors coming out for Sleep.
Yeah, and I'm going to be amazed at this. Look, we are only at the 24-minute mark, or will be at the 24-minute mark, and we could have 3-0 upgraded Broodlords with Infestors and Corruptors, and that is simply amazing. And those Broodlings will also be 3 upgraded as well, so that is going to be massive amounts of damage as a fungal growth hits the Thor, and now Broodlings swarming to take down a Thor as well, and another fungal growth, medevacs getting taken out. And now all it's going to come down to is the Terran fortification in the center to try to fight this off. Triple Vikings now being trained with an additional starport now being added, but there's still a flock of Mutalisks on the bottom right-hand corner ready to strike and put pressure in more places than one.
Yeah, and Sleep really has to hit a timing here. I mean, he's got a sort of a large window, but once a number of Vikings come out, unless he's got great micro on those Infestors, the Vikings going to shred through those Broodlords pretty quick, but the Broodlord's doing so much damage right now because SeoHyeon just has no answer. Great fungal growth going off. Another one as well. These Marines so low, just not enough medevacs. All those medevacs lost in the mid-game to drops, which are expertly cleaned up by Sleep. Sleep pushing in here. I'm not sure he's lost even a single Broodlord at this point. The Corruptors tanking most of the damage at the front. They're taking on the medevacs and the Vikings. There's the GG, and Sleep puts xSixSleep up 1-0.